YouTube, what's good, man? Today we're gonna be cooking up a hard piano beat for LIL DURK, and I'm gonna teach y'all a little something about beat arrangement, man. If your head get the bobbing while you're watching this video, go ahead and drop me the like, man. So if you haven't already, hit that notify bell so you know when I upload these videos every Monday and every Friday. Let's get into this cook up. All right, so for this one we at 162 BPM, and we starting out with this noir piano on the basic felt preset, and we just started with some top keys just to get the vibe going. So we got a simple little melody here, really just hitting these half steps to give it that dark feeling. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Very simple, man. So let's get into the effects on that. So on these keys, we just have a very simple Valhalla vintage verb here. Turn down the mix, turn the pre-delay up a little bit, and we turn down the decay just a little bit. That's gonna cut out the tail of how long that reverb is playing with the decay there. And then we also turn up the low cut because we don't want the reverb all over the low end of the sound. We just really want it on the top end of that sound there. So we just cut it to 520 Hertz there. We also have this effect rack preset, the ambient space preset. That's just kind of giving it that real spacey vibe. All right, so once we had our top keys down, we went and we just layered it with the chords here. So these are the chords. So we're in the key of D sharp minor. So we're starting out with a very simple D sharp minor chord here. Now the only thing that I changed was the top notes of that chord are actually the third of the chord. So I took this note that's in the middle of the chord and pulled it up an octave. And I also duplicated the root note, which is this D sharp. You can see I put that at the top as well there, just to kind of fill out the chord more, give it a wider range. So we pretty much did that for each of the chords here. So if I pull these down, you can see that we have a D minor chord, and then we have a D minor chord, and we just suspended this third here by pulling it down one semitone, just to give it that dark sound, right? Then when we come over here to this side, we're dropping down 4. So from D sharp, we went down 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4 to this B, and then we just built a chord off of that B. So we put down a note at B, skip a note, B sharp, skip, F sharp. If you notice here, these top notes all kind of just line up together, so it's going to sound really good transitioning from chord to chord because those notes are matching up so well. We have this D sharp consistent throughout the whole melody. So that'll sound really good in your melodies when the notes kind of line up like that in different chords. So from that B, we went down 1 more semitone to the A sharp. I mean, it's just that, you know, everybody knows this progression pretty much, but you just gotta change up a few things to sauce it up. So we went from the B down to this A sharp, and we built a chord off of that. We kept the D sharp and that F sharp consistent there. And then for this last chord, instead of having the A sharp here, I just pitched it up 1 octave. Very simple, just to give it a little different feel at the end. Now, as far as effects go on the chords, we have an EQ just cutting out some of the lows there. We put a compressor on there as well, just to kind of glue that piano together and kind of make it all kind of stick together more. We want the highs and the lows, the peaks of the sound, the lows of the sound to kind of just squash together there, just to make it sound a little bit more compact. We added this fruity delay 3, and we had the time set to 8. We turned down the level, and we turned down the wet so that the delay doesn't just take over the whole sound. And if you adjust this tone knob here, it actually affects how the reverb sounds. Like it's almost like putting a low pass or a high pass on it. So I'll let y'all hear that. So if I did like this, right? Turn the tone down, listen to the oh my God. Listen to the delay here. Let me turn up this wet so y'all can actually hear it a lot better. So you hear how the oh my God, the delay is much darker there. Now if I turn the tone all the way up, so you just adjust that to taste. From there we have Valhalla Vintage Verb again, the same exact reverb that I had on the top keys just to keep that consistent. So next I went to Session Strings Pro and I grabbed this viola preset, and we just laid down some very simple strings, pretty much just following the notes of the progression that stand out the most. So those top notes, so this is what that sounds like. Very simple. And we just have a fruity stereo shaper on that just to kind of change the stereo sound of the strings, just to kind of space them out more in the stereo width. All right, next we opened up Expand, and I grabbed this producer brass preset, and I just added this simple brass line just to give the melody some more energy at certain parts in the beat. So this is what that sounds like. Really, I just went off of ear there. But if we look at it, I mean, we're pretty much just following. These are all notes that are in our melody already in the chords. So you can kind of just play around with notes that you've already used in your melody previously and just move them around and try to find a cool rhythm. That's what this is mostly about. You want to find a rhythm with a sound like this because it's just going to supplement the melody. You're not trying to add a whole different vibe to it, you know? All right, then we added these spiccato strings and Expand. Spiccato up, down, that's the preset. This is what that sounds like. Again, with these melodies that I'm adding at this point, I'm just trying to find rhythms to kind of keep the bounce of the beat going. I'm not trying to change up the entire vibe of the beat. It's all about just, you know what I'm saying, keeping a consistent vibe and then adding in supplementing sounds that'll just give it a different feel, but the bounce and the melodies still line up together. And once we arrange it, you'll kind of see what I'm saying a lot better there. Effects that we have on the strings here, we have a Valhalla Vintage Verb. Again, turn the pre-delay just a little, turn down the mix, turn down the decay, and we turn up the low cut. Then we have this effect rack on the ambient space preset again. This preset is just fire. And then we just have a simple EQ, cutting out some of the lows, and then we're boosting the highs. All right, and the last piece of melody that we have is this Richh bass. I just got it out of a kit, I'm not sure which one. And this is what that sounds like. Just following the root notes here. Very simple, very simple. Now I also went and added this section in as well, which is going to be like a bridge kind of to the beat. So the way I finessed this was I took the chords from the piano and I rendered them out. So if I go over here to the chords, right click them, then I go to render and replace. That's going to allow me to turn my chords into a wave like this. And I just went in and reversed it. So if I turn it back, you see, so we just reversed it there and we pitched it up. So now our piano sounds like this. It's hard. And then on the second part, this one just isn't pitched up, so it's really dark, really cool. And then we also have the top keys on there as well. Now for the strings, I went in there and I pressed Alt Y to reverse them. So this is how they were. And then I reversed them like this with Alt Y. So they sound like this now. That's stupid hard. Then from there, because we reversed the piano, we also just went in and we needed to reverse our Richh bass. So I just added in a few notes, but the Richh bass is just playing in the opposite direction of the chord progression. Because remember, we went from D sharp to B to A sharp. Now we're A sharp to B to D sharp. So this is what the entire bridge sounds like. That's crazy. All right, so here's the melody that we have. It's hard. All right, so you already know what's going on. Clap the snare. We got a nice little bounce with the snare going here. And I know you hear this laser as well. That's all we got going here. That's what that sound is. So we got that coming in right before the clap of the snare, just to kind of bounce it into it, a syncopation. Boom, from there, we got this nice hi-hat going. So that looks like a two-step, but you already know once I go in here, let's go to the hi-hat. Where is it? So on our hi-hat, we have this looperator going. So we got a couple rolls in there, a couple envelopes just to kind of fade out the sound in certain parts. It's very subtle, but it just adds a nice bounce to it. And this is like a little high pass filter on it. So again, I'll play it with the looperator on the screen here. So that looperator adds a nice bounce to it. From there, we just added a couple more percussion elements. So we got one of the, you know what I'm saying, tubular bells, gotta have that in there. We got a very simple crash. Need a crash for the transitions. And then at the end, we have this triangle. So I'll let you hear all these together. Very smooth, man. So from there, we have the 808 just following the root notes, and we just gave it a cool bounce by playing with the octaves here. So that's what that sounds like. And actually we also have a kick on top of that as well. So together, these are what those sound like. Boom, man. You already know the kick and the 808 combo. Ooh, I love it. I love it, man. Especially when you have your 808 going from like notes up here in this little 5 range, like, you know what I'm saying, C through C and up. And then you drop down to like an octave lower, but it's them notes like B, A, sometimes G. When you throw a kick on top of that, something about it just hits so much harder, and I just love it. All right, so we have our whole melody now. So let's talk arrangement for a second. Now when I think about when I'm arranging my beats, I think about I'm sitting in a studio and somebody asked me to play them some beats. There's two things you want to do. You want to catch the artist's attention, and you want to retain their attention at least through the first verse. Once you get that, you're good to go. So when I'm starting out, when I arrange my beats, I like to select a couple of key elements. I'm gonna come in usually with a bass or some type of something with some low end, just so you can feel it when the beat comes on. And then you're also gonna want to have the main meat of your melody, which is usually gonna be your chords, because that's gonna pretty much carry the progression, carry the entire beat itself. And then I like to add in some type of top melody as well. and then some type of ear candy sound. So in this situation here, this is how I decided to start this beat for the arrangement. So you see what I'm saying there, that low end, you can feel that. Imagine you're in a studio and you're hearing it on studio speakers, like studio monitors. It's gonna, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna fill the room. Then we have the chords coming in. The chords sound real nice. And then we're using the strings as our top melody. Real nice acoustic strings. They sound great. They're wide. They're filling the room. And then behind that, we have these top keys that kind of sound kind of bellish, but they're just kind of sitting in the background. It's just giving it that ear candy, that vibe, that ambience. So, you know, once you play that, you've already got the listener's attention there. Oh, okay, I think I might like this. I think I might like this. So from there, usually after this first 8 bars, I have my drums coming in, because like I said, you want to get the listener's attention pretty quickly, especially if you're in a studio session with an artist. They don't need to hear a super long intro. In some cases that's nice and that works, but most of the time you just want to, you know what I'm saying, get to it. So from there, I'll take the beat and I'll break it down, because usually an artist is going to come in with a hook. Some people might start with a verse. To me, it doesn't really matter. I'm still going to break down the beat at that point. So I'll drop out some of the sounds, and I'll usually just keep the chords going with some type of top melody, something very simple, so that the artist can come on. Because once the artist comes on, they are the main centerpiece of the song. So you want their vocals to be the, you know what I'm saying, what really stands out. So I'll drop a lot of sounds out for this second 8 bars. So this is what we got now. Very simple. That way the artist can really get on there and talk and do what they do. And then at this point, once we get to the second half here of what I'll say is the hook, right? I'll bring in maybe a few more sounds, just something else to kind of accent, bring the beat back in some more, because you got to think I'm going to have drums at this point as well too. So this is what I'll do for the second half of that hook. Just add the strings as a nice little supplement, you know? Here's what I would do for the verse, right? So all right, so with the drums, the arrangement, man, that's what I was saying. So you want to have your melody coming in just to catch their ear, but then you want them drums to hit, man. So this is what our beat's gonna sound like. Intro, and then we go into the hook right here. This will still be the hook for me. Usually they're gonna still be gone at this point. And then we get into the verse. Then we break it down some. Just gonna remove the sounds right here. We just got 2 sounds playing. Going back into the hook here. Then we add a drop at the end. Right back to the hook. We're just repeating the same process. Now, me personally, I like adding a bridge in the middle of the beat sometimes, because Not all artists are gonna utilize it. Some people might just leave it blank, let it breathe there. But the great artists, when you add a little bridge, a little switch up in the beat right there like that, it brings something else out of them. You know what I'm saying? They really tap into their element, and sometimes that be the hardest part of the song, bro. So me personally, I just like to add those little, you know what I'm saying, little switch ups, those little bridges in between the end of the verse going back into the hook. You never know what it might bring out of somebody. Boom, and there you have it, folks, man. That's a hard piano beat for Lil Durk right there. He'll go crazy on that, man. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and drop me a like, huh? What we doing? What we doing? But hey, sub if you haven't already as well. Hope y'all learned something today, man. That's it for this one. We out of here.